So Donald Trump, the Twitter tweeter toddler, is at it again. And apparently you Canadians are very nasty people and you're back on the nasty list. Yes, these are the headlines then. Trump hikes tariffs on Canada by 10% over Ontario ad. Seriously, you're back on the nasty list. But, do take comfort. You're in good company. There's a lot of us on the nasty list. They're saying this is over the Ontario ad. It may not necessarily be that. Trump can't necessarily just bully Canada around or, all the countries in the world at the same time. He's trying to, do a trade war with. It's bad strategy and it's just freaking out. And Trump's like, okay, fine. I'll tax Americans more as the American budget just doesn't even make sense anymore. This is the actual Trump tweet. If you want to read the whole thing, you can. It's just on and on and on and on and on. I'll say this. He might have been upset about the World Series possibly because if you don't know, the Toronto Blue Jays beat the LA Dodgers, right? So it's Canada versus USA, and Canada, man, you guys scored a whole bunch of runs, and it was like, I don't know, some crazy 6 runs or 9 runs or something. It was like 9 runs in the 6th inning, I think it was. I watched a little bit. I was like, man, that's crazy. So he could have been upset by that for all we know, because literally he mentions the World Series. He's like, the advertisement was to be taken down immediately. Oh, he's all mad about that. And actually, the reporting was it was going to be taken down, I guess, on Monday, but not Trump didn't get the memo, I guess. And then Trump says, but they let it run last night during the World Series. So he really mentions the World Series, knowing it was a fraud. But there's serious misrepresentation of facts, hostile act. I'm increasing tariff on Canada by 10% over and above what they are paying now. And he's claiming that you Canadians are caught red-handed. If you want to read the whole thing, you can. But the thing with this stuff is it's crazy. We're on the whims of a dementia dude on Twitter. Like how do we even talk about the news these days? Because you do have to talk about it if indeed this is a thing. And then we're going to have to talk about if the Supreme Court does strike down the tariffs, all of the refunds and the fight over the money is going to ensue. And I'm sure there's going to be fights over like Trump, where'd the money go? Trump, money, I don't know where the money went. I mean, it's going to be a complete mess. This is also what just give you an idea of like how this thing plays out. When he says 10%, I mean, there's not many details, so we just don't know. So for example, it says, with Canada already under a base US-based tariff rate of 35%, the impact of Trump's new measure wasn't immediately clear. This is from Bloomberg, so it's hard to say. The 35% rate doesn't apply to most Canadian goods because of an exemption for products and shipments made within the rules of the U.S. Mexico-Canada agreement. Steel and aluminum products don't have that waiver, and Canadian-made cars and trucks are only partially eligible for exemption from the Trump 25% tariffs on most foreign autos. And then he's at another 10%. So I really don't know. That's why this whole thing's crazy. So that's what it is now, and we're trying to figure it out. And then he's saying he's not going to meet Carney. If you don't know, Trump is flying here to Busan. I think he had a layover. No, seriously, the guy is all over the map. Okay, so he actually had a layover in the Middle East. This was just like a few hours ago. This is in Qatar. I don't know if we're getting another plane from them or not. No, seriously, that they're just tweeting this stuff out. So I guess he was refueling, and then he's saying, Qatar is awesome, etc. I don't know if they're going to announce a new, base for them in Idaho. I really don't know. It's hard to keep track. But then, he should be meeting with Carney, but it's hard to schedule everyone. And then Trump was also saying he wants to meet with North Korea, but that's not scheduled, but anything can change. That's literally how nuts our news is. And it's what I showed you guys yesterday. They already started putting up signs here in Busan that you can't fly drones around it's actually starting today, which is Monday here. So I don't know, because then my wife said yesterday, they just reported that maybe Trump's going to meet President Xi of China at the airport. No, seriously, that's what my wife was saying. I was like, I really don't know what they're doing. Like, first they announced they're coming to Busan, which is like, that was news to me. And then I showed you guys the building that, they could probably meet. And then now maybe he's meeting Xi in the airport because she was saying because maybe it's easier for them to do security there because there's like a military meeting room that they can meet there. I really don't know. And at this moment, before he meets President Xi, and talking about China here, the Trump people are meeting with the Chinese delegation. That's what it is. And then Scott Bessent saying they're very constructive. But I mean, the problem is with this stuff is they're trying to rush these kind of things. And, I think for Trump and his, gang, a lot of the people are pulling away from him. I mean, he's pissed off farmers lately. And so I would say priority number one for Trump is you got to get China to try to buy soybeans, but I just don't see that happening, because you're gonna have to give up something, right? And that's sort of how this game is played. If you do a deal, I mean, you want things to be win-win, of course, but with Trump, he just wants to win and everyone else lose. But it's like it doesn't really work that way. So there's that. I mean, and then when you look in Trumpy world, and this is like, our news is just bonkers every day. So remember we were talking about that mystery donor thing with the military? So evidently, I guess we got a name now. And it's not who I thought. It's probably not who you thought either. We'll go over it. It says here, mystery donor who gave Trump $130 million to pay military is unmasked as banking heir, ties with RFK. What? Wait, what? Timothy Mellon. That's the name. It's a melon. If you guys know Rodney Dangerfield, you know what I'm talking about. It's a melon, right? Trump's $130 million mystery military donor. That's according to New York Times. And then a donor who gave $130 million to pay troops is recluse heir to Mellon fortune. Timothy Mellon is the name, is a billionaire and a major financial backer of President Trump. I read through the report. It's really hard to say. There's no comments all around. The New York Times, I think they said they had a couple sources on this one. So I'll just put it in as I don't know. I'm telling you what they say. But I mean, I'll tell you exactly. It just says, Timothy Mellon, the exclusive billionaire and major financial backer to Trump, is the anonymous private donor who gave $130 million to the U.S. government to help pay troops during the shutdown, according to two people familiar with the matter. So I guess we got two people. They asked him about it before, and Trump just says he's a great American citizen, doesn't want publicity, blah blah blah. And then there's no comment. It just says multiple attempts to reach Mr. Mellon and representatives for him were unsuccessful. So, but this right here alone would be like a major scandal in probably every country around the world. I don't know what to say, but this is just like one of things. Like you got what are we doing with China? Are you meeting with Carney or not? You got the Canada tariffs. Are you going to meet with North Korea? And then you got the bulldozing of the White House. This is like just all in one news cycle. It's insane. The bulldozer in the ballroom. Trump puts permanent stamp on the White House, and they've been trying to block pictures from the public on this stuff. So like there's this big fence around the White House right now, the complex, you can see it. That's the rubble, evidently, right there. And, it's something I told you guys the last couple of days. I think it was like a couple of days ago already. They started releasing video of this stuff, and I'll just be frank with you guys. I was pretty pissed off. I mean, I'm what can I do now? I can't get angry and scream every single day. I literally lose my voice. But I'll just tell you. So the Washington Post did a really good job of showing the damage that Trump has done. So right now you're looking at a bunch of rubble, right? And this is what it was before, the East Wing complex, and then this is what it is supposedly going to be now. So the thing that Trump is building is it just doesn't match. It's like bigger than the White House. The thing is huge. And you can see it. So that's what it was like, and so none of the other parts of the complex were bigger than the White House, and then suddenly this big ballroom thing, and Trump wants to announce it, name it after himself. You can see the size of this thing, and they were showing more. I guess it's going to be 90,000 square feet. They're going to have like these pillars in the front. They changed the seating. Before it was going to be 650 people. Now it's 1,000 people. And then the cost of the thing keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And, this was another picture. Next, they acknowledged it. This was actually on what the White House was tweeting out. They're claiming that CNN and Harvard should disavow this ghoulish comment. What? But this is someone actually tweeted out, which it says, it feels almost the same as when I saw the Pentagon damage on 9/11, which I think honestly is a reasonable tweet, because this is a picture of the rubble that Trump did. You can see it right there. So that's where we're at. And, I always want to show you guys everything. Well, all this Trumpy stuff is going on, right? The Snap sent out, I guess, notices to where they want people to buy stuff that is, basically won't perish, right? They're saying shelf stable. So people are struggling with food right now, because we're worried that the food thing is going to run out. the money's going to run out in November, which is just, I'm looking at the calendar here, just like a week away. I mean, that's where we're at. And then, in California, it's gotten so bad, the food situation, that I guess that we have the National Guard now working with the food bank. This was just tweet out today. They're going to be, working on distributing more food. And I know we have military members, standing in line for food. And I just want to give you guys a contrast of how, a developed nation and someone in transparency, how they are run. Here in Korea, this gives you some contrast. The big controversy that was just like today, or actually the last couple of days, we had a guy, this is the current administration, he's like vice land minister. He made some comments on a YouTube channel, and then he, I guess, resigned. And listen to the comments that he said. I'll read it. And just want to give you an idea of like how things are normally run. But here it's like hypersensitive to corruption. They say President Lee Jae-myung, so that's the current president, on Saturday accepted the resignation of a vice land minister amid mounting controversy over his recent comments about housing market. On Friday, first vice land minister Lee Sang-kyung offered to resign as he had come under fire after appearing on a YouTube channel earlier this week. And this is what he said, quote, "When the market stabilizes and housing prices fall, that's when people can buy homes." And that saying right there, like, really upset people. It's been a controversy, like, oh, you rich person, and you blah, blah, blah. And why are you saying that we can buy homes now after the prices are too high? You don't understand, and you don't understand the problem. And I get how people could be upset, but I guess this, and we're talking about resignation here, right? So it's a very different sense here to where you feel shame if you just even say something wrong, right? And people resign. It's a very different. Whereas in the Trumpers world, it's just like, let's celebrate corruption, and then we get like this whole $130 million like money changing hands, and this isn't even going to be the biggest news of the day. I promise you, it's going to be Trump farted on in Qatar, or they're going to talk about the Canada thing is probably the biggest news today, which it's all related. I mean, it's all important, of course, but it's so different. I mean, like, think on a daily basis the stuff that Trumpers say, like not just Trump, but Trump and all his people, like on a daily basis, like egregious stuff, like ridiculous stuff. I'm just telling you, here in Korea, if like any of these things that would happen, people would just resign immediately. Like the public outcry would just be so much. But it's a different culture, and that's what I just want to share with you guys, that not everyone runs like the USA. And I'm pretty sure if you're watching, say in Germany or UK or Australia, wherever you're watching, that you guys understand what I'm talking about, where like any number of things that Trump has done, like just imagine like if your capital, was attacked by, Trump people or whatever, like, how people would respond to that, or where the president's office is, he starts like demolishing stuff around it. I'm sure this would be major scandals in various countries. Like, just could you imagine Carney trying this kind of stuff? Just for example. So that's where we are in USA right now, and it's frustrating because it's just like how low can this thing possibly go? But I'm waiting for midterms. I'm also I'm thinking that the more that Trump hurts regular people, and give it a week when the snap things run out. I think people are really going to know that Trump is awful, and because basically what it is right now, you got to show the MAGA base, like, guys, he doesn't care about you, and you got to just make it really clear over and over again, because that's the kind of people you're dealing with. They're kind of they're afraid to admit that they're wrong, but when there's no food on the table, you gotta face reality, right? So that's just my thoughts. So do appreciate your time, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.